Thing is, until you can erase 3 Februaries, shut up. Bang! Quality over quantity. LeBron has beaten some of the best competition in NBA history. He's the GOAT emoji. I will not cuss. I will not cuss. I will not swear. I will not swear.
Where sports is the base, life and fun are the results. This is the Brian Snow Show.
Is indeed the Brian Snow Show, live on this Tuesday afternoon, a very special Tuesday afternoon, as I am going to share 2 stories of survival, one of which is my own, and the other belongs to my guest who will join in a little bit. His name is Jason Pike. And a little bit about Jason Pike. He is a decorated combat veteran with multiple deployments. He served 31 years in the United States Army, both as an enlisted and officer, including 9 years overseas in 5 different countries. He's earned over 30 service awards and badges and survived a wicked amount of military training. So we're going to discuss all that toward the bottom of the hour, but I'm going to share the first story of survival, which is my own. This is a very special day for me because a year ago today at Indiana University Med Center, I went under the knife to remove a tumor, a pancreatic cancer tumor. And as it turns out, it was stage 4 pancreatic cancer. The same tumor which the folks at Duke University Cancer Center in Durham, North Carolina, told my wife and me on November 29th of 2021 that the tumor was inoperable. That set us aback. And I have to give all the credit in the world to my beautiful wife, Jody, who made the most difficult decision, because you all know I loved living in North Carolina, even though there were a lot of problems. And she said, you know what? I got to get some help. And I was taking oral chemotherapy at the time, and my brain was whacked out. And I realize that now. But be that as it may, she made the decision to bring us back here to Indiana. I helped get us packed and moving. And we got back up here November 1st of 21. A little bit of time had passed, and I was introduced to Dr. Raghunath, who is my oncologist at Franciscan Healthcare and Columbus, Indiana. And if it looks like I'm about to cry, you're going to have to forgive me. But this story of survival and the one I'm going to tell later, help tell later, needs to be told. Dr. Raghunath said, let me make a phone call. And that phone call was to Dr. Attila Nakib at IU Med Center. Little time after that, a consultation was had. And I kind of got a clue that he was ready to take on the surgery when he pulled a piece of a paper towel and he started drawing what parts will be removed, where everything else is going to go. And I just looked at him simply and I said, can you get this thing? And he looked me dead in the eye and said, we'll get it for you. He looked me dead in the eye and said, we'll get it for you. Internally, I screamed at the top of my lungs because I want a 50-year anniversary with my beautiful wife and I want my family around. Because, yes, I intend to live that long, if not longer. I just told one of my best friends back home in Chicago, I owe Jody a 50-year anniversary and I owe the sportscasting community 50 years. I got to get to I got to get to the 50th anniversary celebration of both. So, with that being said, April 4th, last year, the surgery happened. Started at high noon. And I remember being wheeled into ICU, being woken up at 6:15 Eastern Daylight Time. I saw my mother-in-law, Sandy. I saw my father-in-law, Pete. And I saw Jody. And as soon as I saw them, as out of it as I was, I saw them and my brain said, we're good. We're here. You can go back to sleep. And I did. Missed the national championship that night in which Kansas beat North Carolina. But that's why I kind of celebrated last night, because I got a chance to watch a national championship, because I didn't think I'd be here. For a while, I have to be perfectly honest, I lost all hope. But then my family said, you're not losing. If we can't lose hope in you, then you can't lose hope in this. Very powerful words, especially coming from Sonia, my daughter, my son, Dakota, my other daughter, Sam, who came to visit me in the hospital. Sam came to visit me in the hospital, and her little short self was in a pool full of tears. I'll never forget that. My daughter, Cheyenne, called me via Facebook Messenger and said, Pop, you don't look very good. And all of a sudden, I just broke out crying. And this was the day after I got wheeled into ICU. I said, baby, I don't feel good either. Her eyes went to steel and said, do you need me to come up there? And I didn't hesitate. I said, yes. Wouldn't you know it, she dropped and she lives in Los Angeles. Wouldn't you know it, she dropped everything she did and flew to Indianapolis. The next morning, I swear to you, the next morning, Cheyenne comes walking in to ICU like the boss that she is, and just gave the eye to everyone in the room saying, this is my dad. This is how we're going to handle this. Well, Cheyenne, baby, daddy owes you a lot for that. Jody, same to you. And I made a promise to everyone involved. I'm going to continue to fight my ass off every day, every month of every year to be around as long as I can. That's the best way I can say thank you to everyone that has shown their love, that has shown their support, and that has just shown everything. That has just showed out. Now, speaking of my family, I need y'all to do a favor. This link I'm putting across your screen and that I will verbalize for those of you listening on WQEE in Atlanta is a GoFundMe link to help my family because we're trying to get to the next level and I want to do something to help everybody here. So the website you need is gofund.me/E283E211. That's gofund.me/E283E211. And speaking of my daughter Cheyenne, got one for her as well because she wants to return home to Cincinnati from Los Angeles. She needs some help doing it. So use the same website beginning, gofund.me/509DEE0E. That's 509DEE0E. And I thank you all in advance for all your support for both campaigns. We'll take a 2-minute timeout and I will welcome my guest, Jason Pike, decorated combat veteran. And boy, we got a lot to talk about. We're just getting started here on this Tuesday edition of the Brian Snow Show. Back in a moment. The thing is, until you can erase 3 Februaries, shut up.
Where sports is the base, life and fun are the results. This is the Brian Snow Show. So this thing called sports, it has fans again. It has full stadiums, full arenas, and more. And you want to be a part of it, don't you? Of course you do. If you begin to scour the resale market, there will be tickets available. And what you need to get those tickets that you want so badly is SeatGeek. SeatGeek is the app available to you that lends a hand in helping you get the tickets that you want for the events that you want. SeatGeek rates the tickets on a 1 to 10 scale, and the best part is the tickets are vetted for authenticity, so you know what you are getting and you know you are not getting scammed. And now you can save even more by using the code SNOWMAN and getting $20 off with your very first purchase. Yes, you can do all of that with the power of SeatGeek, helping you get to the games that you want, so you fans can fan. So let's all fan. Where sports is the base, life and fun are the results. This is the Brian Snow Show.
Welcome back to this Tuesday edition of the Brian Snow Show. Let me not waste any more time and bring on my guest. And he has an amazing story to tell as well. Mr. Jason Pike, and he joins me right now. Jason, how are you, buddy? Salute to you.
Hey, thank you very much, Brian. I'm really honored to be on your show.
Hey, I'm honored to have you. There's so much there's so much to talk about.
Yep.
Your story began at age 7 with an acute learning disability. How did you come through that? First of all, how was it discovered? And second, how'd you come through that?
Well, my first grade teacher in Norcross, Georgia, where I was going to school at, right north of Atlanta, Georgia, she said she told my parents, said, this guy can't read well. He can't write well. And I eventually failed the first grade, and they referred me to the Emory Reading University in Atlanta, Georgia, to diagnose what the problem was. And they just had it was a form. They said I had something called dyslexia, but it's really not dyslexia. I was just a slow learner as I look into it a little bit. And and I deal with it today. I get around it. I compensate for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Was it tough finding that out?
Yeah, I think it was probably tougher for my parents because just like a lot of parents, they really want education and in their children. And they knew that this was probably they didn't have much expectations. They didn't put a label on me, At the time, as a kid, I'm just thinking my friends are going to the second grade, and I got to go back to the first grade because there's something wrong with me.
Mhm.
But that was all for me, and I just knew that I was considered different, maybe in a bad way. That I didn't, I did. I just said, well, I must be different. I must not be able to get these things.
Which, if you follow any sports teams, whom do you follow?
Oh, I like the Chiefs. I like the Kansas
Ah,
City Chiefs. Magic Mahomes. He's my man. I like him. Yeah, he's a great guy.
Magic Mahomes. I can't argue. They just won the Super Bowl over the Philadelphia Eagles. They
Oh yeah.
beat my 49ers recently, Super Bowl 54 down in Miami. And what turns you on to the Chiefs?
Just the magic. I mean, Mahomes. He came out of Texas, and he's been playing sports. He used to play baseball,
Mhm.
and I think his dad helped him out. And he's also seems to be just a well-rounded character overall. And so I was attracted, and he just magical stuff that just come. You never seen it before. Just things he does out on the field. I just enjoy watching him. Yeah.
Your story is one of survival, perseverance, and a refusal to quit. And I share the same thing. Where did you draw your inspiration, or where do you draw your inspirations?
It came, I didn't know it at the time. It came from my father. My father was a never quit guy. You can screw up, you can fail, and you can get into trouble doing it, and that's
Mhm.
okay. But you don't do one thing. You just never quit anything.
Never
So if
quit.
you played sports, or if you want like little league sports, you do not quit that. If you start it, you don't quit it. You stay. If the coach doesn't want to play you, hey, that's his. It's his. The coach is the coach, and
Mhm.
you might sit on that damn bench, all season long, but you're not gonna quit. No, that's came from my father, really.
How did you manage to cope with stress, trauma, and adversity during all of your years in the military? And how do you cope with it now?
So failure and pain were introduced to me early in life. We just talked about failing the first grade, and then of course just pain. I had a disease on my left knee, which was osteomyelitis. So it was a bone disease. And so that just came with the territory. And then my father just said, you never quit. And so you had a combination of these things. So as I went through all these various fiascos and other events in the military, I had a good background on just pain and failure, and that it was just part of life. And that probably set me up better than most folks, just having that background, and with my father. Yeah.
Jason Pike joining us here on the Brian Snow Show this afternoon, and a welcome to those of you listening via WQEE in Atlanta. We're sharing all kinds of stories. We're sharing all kinds of facts and fun about survival and perseverance. And if there's one thing my dad drove me with, it's perseverance. How important was the role of your father in your life?
He was really important. He just had all, and I wrote this book dedicated to him because he just had so many stories that he handed down about perseverance. About He came from white trash, a third class of white people. I mean, we're talking
Mhm.
about barefoot, stealing food, hungry type of, that
Right,
everybody in the South was poor in those days, but there was another level of white poor that he was from. And
yeah,
he would tell us about it, and he would say, hey, you can he taught us how to steal watermelons. He says there's nothing wrong with stealing watermelons. He says, well, if you got to eat, you got to eat, but you never quit. You got to find a way to fight. But so he was
so
a
true.
wonderful he was a wonderful father. But yeah, that's where I dedicate it to him. I got and then sometimes you don't know things until after people are gone, and it takes a while for things to sink in. And
Yeah,
so I guess death has a way of talking to the other people. When someone dies, you start thinking, oh man, what did he teach? What did he teach me? Stuff
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So true. I lost my dad in 2007 to prostate cancer, and that, aside of losing my daughter, was the toughest loss of my life because my dad was my biggest critic, and he was also my biggest cheerleader, and he was also my hero. And we talked about perseverance. And the one thing that dad always taught me to do was to have fun with life, because I say this often during my morning show, and I often say it here, and my friends who grew up with me in Chicago also my dad was a goofball around the house. I mean, if he senses some tension in the house, he'll do something absolutely out of the blue that would just have all of us laughing. And his sense of humor got to my mom's sense of humor, which fed to myself and Nicole, my sister, and the whole house would just be in tears laughing. And then soon we'd forget, okay, we would just forget, okay, what were we so amped up about? How big of an importance did sense of humor play, with you and your parents?
So we grew up in the one house, but there were two sides of the house that didn't know what was going on. So you had me, so you had me, my brother, and my dad. We were off doing crazy stuff. And then you had my mother and my sister. They didn't know what we were doing. And you always had, like, my father always said, you don't say anything to mom or to the sister. If you want to continue to have fun and steal watermelons and shoot bottle rockets at cars, and he taught, yeah, and do all kind of things and learn how to drive on these dirt roads. You just don't say anything. All right, if you want to have fun, you have fun, but you don't say anything. We're going to go out and we'll do some things. But yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right.
he was. He taught me how to shoot bottle rockets at cars when I was 9 years old, and he says this is what's fun is, and you can do this and that, and so we just he says just don't say. And so there was different. So when we got older and we and we tried to tell my sister and mother what we used to do, they would like, wow, I didn't know anything. I don't know anything. I don't know anything. And so, but it was true. And then so, but now, well, they're past. But now I've got a lot of stories. And so, but no, he said it's okay to have fun. Just don't ever quit anything. And yeah, that's it.
Talk to me about your book, A Soldier Against All Odds. What was the biggest inspiration in you writing that book?
Oh gosh, this book had been nagging at me for a long time. I mean, just getting out of college, as you know.
Right.
So I went. Everybody was asking me, "How did a dumbass like you do that?" In other words, how do I? And so they asked me the same question: How did you do that? Now, what did you
Mhm.
do? Now, how did you get out of that trouble and all this? And so everybody that triggered. I said, okay, well, after my dad died, I said, well, he was a great storyteller. And these things kept, and he asked the same. Jake, he called me Jake. My nickname was Jake. He says,
Right.
Jake, how did you do this? How did you surprise me? And I said, well, I don't know. I don't know. And so I was like, I
I
don't
love it.
know. And so I started to slowly to put this thing. It took 3 or 4 years to put this thing together. And I eventually, it was the passion of all these people just asking me the same question: how did someone like you be able to graduate, do this, do that? And so I started at the age of 17, and I went 31 years. So I went into a senior executive level of the military. So I had to pass a lot of gates along the way, and every time I got a rank, another notch on the belt, another school, everybody's like, wow, cool. And I was surprising everybody, and I thought, wow, I think maybe this might be a story.
How many people have you? I know this is a crazy question because this is one I get asked often. How many people have you surprised or continue to surprise? Because and the reason I pose this question is because I get I got laughed at often growing up because instead of playing sports, I would announce them. And I had to figure it took me till sophomore year in high school to figure out, hey, I can't play any sports. I can try, but I can't play any sports. So I'll figure I'll do the next best thing and announce them, which led me to such heroes as Jim Durham, who was the TV voice of the Dallas Mavericks for the longest time, but was the radio voice of the Bulls forever. The Vin Scully and Jack Buck for baseball, and that was when it started hitting me. I said, "Wait a minute, this is something I can do." So what turned the light? What turned the light on for you to have you think, okay, I can make a career out of being in the military? What was that one moment that turned the light on for you?
It was 1983, and I was 17 years old. I went to basic training, like a boot camp for Army, uh, and I almost got kicked out. And before they were about to kick me out, they put me in some sort of a scared straight program. It's called the Criminal Correctional Facility, not because I did anything criminal, but because I just couldn't get my stuff together. I could not. So that I went into that facility, and it was only 4 hours of a scared straight. Then they put a different level of hell on me than and so they put the lowest two people. That was me and another guy. The other guy broke and got out, and I just stayed in. And a lot of bad things happened there. I put it that way. Big rocks into small rocks. We climbed around on obstacle courses, or we just tore our legs and arms. We're all bloodied, and so that and all that. It was just a rapid fire, crazy event, and I came back just broken up, and that kind of strengthened me, I guess. That was the event, and I said, if I can get that, if I can survive this, I can definitely sit in an air-conditioned library for 12 hours a day, eating pizza when I want to eat pizza, and go to the, so that's kind of what.
Let's take a pause for a break. Jason Pike joins me. We'll continue to share some stories. Give me a couple of minutes, and we will be back as we continue on with the Brian Snow Show on this Tuesday afternoon. Back in a minute.
WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key, home of Southern sports and talk. Noonan, Sharpsburg, Franklin.
This is Josh Petrantonio of the Columbus River Dragons, your home for River Dragons hockey, and Noonan 99 Rock.
Hey y'all, Snowman here, and you have me for the Brian Snow Show and Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson right here on WQEE 99.1 FM.
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neill, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
Moving is a big decision. Selling or buying a home in any market, but especially today's, can raise a lot of questions. Hi, I'm Amy with Killingsworth Realty. My husband Todd and I serve the Coweta and local area. Our purpose at our first meeting is to learn your goals, answer questions, and provide resources so that you can make the best decision for you and your family. Find us online at killingsworthrealty.com or call 678-525-0047 to schedule a free consultation today to discuss your real estate needs. You don't have to do this alone.
Hey, sports fans, it's Rod Peterson here, host of The Rod Peterson Show, inviting you to join us daily for 2 hours of Atlanta's funnest sports talk right here on WQEE. I say fun because it is. You've never heard a show like it because we make the listeners a part of the show every day between noon and 2 p.m. Eastern. You'll hear plenty of the best sports talk, including the latest on the Falcons, the Braves, and more. And who knows, you might even hear you. That's the Rod Peterson Show, daily at noon, right here on WQEE 99.1 FM.
Where sports is the base, life and fun are the results. This is the Brian Snow Show.
Have a great Tuesday, and it's a great Tuesday it's a great day of celebration for me as well as my guest Jason Pike. We're just sharing all kinds of stories here, especially when it involves our dads. And I have to share this one. My favorite quarterback of all time is Joe Montana. So one year, my dad got me a Joe Montana autographed football and for Christmas, and I'm thinking, what are we going to do with this football? Yeah, we went down in the basement. We're tossing it around all over the place. While my sister got roller skates, she and I got our first game system, which is the Atari 5200. I know I'm dating myself here, but Dad and I were playing football in the basement. Like, how? People would think, well, how? Well, we couldn't tackle each other. Dad would be the quarterback one round, and I'd be the quarterback the next round. So that's a lot of fun. Give me a couple of moments like that with your dad. I know you expressed one earlier where you were taught to shoot bottle rockets at that age. Like, give me a couple more like that, man.
Yeah.
Those are fun.
Well, yeah. When I came when I came back from basic training in 1983, he detected a little bit of a badass in me, I guess. I come back, I was skint head. In the 80s, you don't have skint heads, but they skinned
Right.
our heads. And
Right.
I was still in high school, and he detected a change in me, as we talked about. And he said, well, he started pushing me around, and then he pinned me on the floor. He was starting a fight with me, and then he pinned me on the floor, and then I pinned him back on his back, and then we played around like that, and then I picked him up and I body slammed him. And when I body slammed my dad, he goes, "Oh no, no more, no more!" And I'm thinking, "Oh God, I must have hurt my dad." And that was the last time he ever messed with me anymore. But he was testing me. He wanted to test me, and just to maybe even build my self-confidence up a little bit more than it was, because I'm sure, I have to think that he was acting. If he was acting, he might have been acting. I don't know. I wish I could ask him, were you really acting, or did I really beat your butt? But I don't know that. So, yeah.
How rewarding was it to start your military career at the age of 17 and retiring at the rank of lieutenant colonel after being told by so many people that none of it was possible?
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, the military was an option for folks at that time that maybe cannot get into college. There was just the SAT. I'm sure I have lower SAT scores than most of your viewers out there. I can just pretty much trust me on that one. And so, there was no doubt I was not college prepared or bound or anything. It made once I started, I said, well, I'm just going to go against their advice. And then I did. And then I had to go to, everything was at the bottom, not only in rank, but in education. I had to go to a junior college and then transfer in. So, wow, I made like I was so scared walking into the junior college, because I was going into a place that I wasn't supposed to be. And I walked in there, and I got good grades. I took a low amount of courses, and I got good grades on that first semester. And I was braver jumping. I've jumped out of a perfectly good airplane, and that's no problem to me. But walking into a college was something I was not supposed to do. And once it built up more and more, that you have little small successes that just build on each other, and it was wonderful to I guess I surprised myself, and I surprised them too. So
Wa-
it was
wa-
a wonderful feeling.
Was that your scariest moment, walking into a college or a junior college, or is that one thereof?
That's just one of them as a young man walking into the college, just because that was a place that people told me that I'm not supposed to be. Yeah, I mean, it was told, I mean, it was well known. So that was one of the most fearful ones, is that. I've had a lot of scary adventures, but then then I achieved. I got the grades, and then I transferred into Clemson University. And I was ashamed of that. I had to go to the junior college. I was, but that was just a way. That's another way of getting into a good university, is just go to a small community college. But no, I've had a lot of other scary events, I guess. Jumping out of the airplane of there's just so many. Doing a night jump, I had to jump out of an airplane at night, and I was the first one out the door, and that was pretty scary. Just jumping and leaping into faith that everything's going to be fine, and it's just dark out there, especially when you're the first one out. So, but there's been a lot of scary events.
The first time I ever got on a plane was 1996, and I was at Chicago State University, and we had to go to Washington, D.C. for a college newspaper conference because I was the sports editor at the newspaper Tempo. And I'm thinking, how the hell am I going to get to Washington, D.C.? And then my boss pulled me aside and said, plane ticket. And internally, everything inside of me lit up going, can I take another route? But then I said, no, I got to travel with the crew. I got to see what happens. So I got the plane ticket. I got the spending money. I got the list of the itinerary. There it is. The itinerary of everything that's going to go on. Met the crew at the university. We rode to O'Hare Airport, and my brain's thinking, I'm getting on a plane. What the hell am I doing getting on a plane? And then I would remind myself throughout the flight, okay, this is why I'm on the plane. I'm going to learn some things about, being a sports editor. I still was scared out of my mind getting on a plane, even though I was told it's only a 90-minute flight. I said, yeah, that's 90 minutes. I'm not going to get back. I slept the whole time. They gave me food and I was zonked out till we landed. And I don't know why it scared me getting on. I don't know why it scared me, but it did. And since then, I've always traveled, for the most part, big trips, I've always traveled by plane. But talk about a scary experience. Flying to Washington, D.C., a 90-minute flight. And I'm sitting there shaking like a leaf going, how am I going to get through this? And I'm walking into the conference and I'm thinking, okay, now what? I'm here. I made the flight. What else do I have to do? And I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to be in the background. No one's going to call on me. Yeah, my boss took care of that and said, this is our sports editor, Brian Snow. And I'm going, wait, that's me. What are you doing? Room for the people. And I have to speak to them. And I'm going, why are you doing this to me? So it's like you said, it's one of those kind of moments where you walk in and you go, what? You just walk in and you go, what in the world is that? What gave you, what'd you have in mind when you started writing your book? What was one of the first things you wanted to accomplish?
Well, the first thing I had to do is get a writer to get this thing to help me out. Anybody, even if I knew how to write, and I don't, most people have to get a ghostwriter, somebody to help them out to orchestrate the story. So I had to find that. When I failed the first grade, it was English reading and writing, but I'm considered an author. You go figure that. But but no, the hardest thing about it was the vulnerability. I'm going to have to tell you my dark secrets because people identify with failure and pain and just bad things that happened. And I'm going to have to tell this out, not only put it in a book, but also do a podcast and get this stuff, out there to identify, to get the story out. That's to get the story out. And because I had so many stories that, and so that was one of the hard. Matter of fact, my book really did nearly kill me. I've got it in the testimony. It caused so much anxiety, and I was sitting at a computer, all stressing out, having flashbacks of all these things, and so I could see it down on a sheet of paper. It was in black and white, and so I'm stressing here, looking at this stuff, thinking, can I really do this? And stress. And what happened was blood clots formed in my lungs and my legs. And I was sent to the ICU, intensive care unit at Stone Oak Methodist Hospital in San Antonio, Texas, February 2021. And they said, pretty much you're going to pass away. And we talked about the obituary, and we knew where the cemetery was at. And DNR, do not resuscitate, was talked about. And then, but what happened was, and that was really a good prediction. I was supposed to die according to the experts, but my body reacted really well to the heparin blood thinners and to antibiotics, because I did get pneumonia as well. I had both of them. I mean, just alone, if you have blood clots, they said they were throughout my body. They were in lungs and legs. And so I said, well, and it was because of the book. Really, at the time, I didn't know it. They thought I was a smoker. And I said, I never smoke. And
Right.
they said, well, what is it? I said, well, I don't know what it is. And I says, my mom used to, but no, but what it was is eventually it was sitting down too long and also stressing. I like to exercise a lot. And when I started this book, I just sat and I just like almost 8 hours a day, just
Right.
like trying to, and that's what did it. And, but no, and then the vulnerability, and I said, am I really going to get this thing out there to show people all these crazy stuff that I did and how I survived, how I persisted. And that's hard. It's hard to open up your life and show it, very hard.
I too battled blood clots in both my lungs. June of 2021, I took a fall. And were it not for my beautiful daughter Sonia leaping to the rescue, as well as my wife Jody, again, I wouldn't be here. And Ryan McCarthy, who joins us here, said it best. He joins us from New York. C.S. Lewis said, repeated failures are finger posts on the road to achievement. One fails forward towards success. And that is so very true. Now, do you have a podcast right now?
Who, me?
Yes.
I do not have a podcast. I'm just joining a lot of other people on podcasts.
Well, whenever you do decide to get one of your own, I'd love to produce it.
Wonderful. I appreciate that. Thank you, Brian.
I'd love to produce it.
I know.
Have you ever been to a game at Clemson, a football game in Death Valley?
So I was so busy. Like I said, I was so busy in the library and trying to do the academics that I did not go to the Tiger game. But I was one of the guys that was hawking the tickets for twice the amount that I got them from.
Nice.
I'd stay outside the stadium and, I'd double the price, especially when you had Clemson and Carolina when they came.
Yeah.
Oh my God, those were rivalries and everybody.
Yep.
So, no, I was trying to make money from the games pretty much because I was trying to find ways to make money in college and get myself through college. Yeah.
Oh, man, this has been a delightful conversation with Jason Pike. Stories of survival, stories of perseverance. Where can people get your book, my friend?
Amazon, and it's a soldier against all odds. And I've got a website, jasonpike.org, and you get it there. Or you just a soldier against all odds, just Google it in the browser. You can get it on some various other websites. It's out there. And I also did the audio. I mean, I'm a narrator and the author. So you're getting it from the horse's mouth as well, not only in writing. So,
I love it.
So that's where, when I went through the audio, I talked more in my entire life last year, 2022, than my entire life. I talked the most because it was take 50, take 100. I was just screwing it up. I did not, a year ago today, you would not see me talking like I'm talking now because
right.
I have practiced on this so much. I got burned out too much. I got burned out on it too. I had to come back though. I came back and I got it done. So you got the audio. It's on Audible, and so it's a very, very true story. There's talking about failures. I can tell you one big failure that's kind of funny if you have some time.
Go ahead. Go for it.
Okay. Well, we all have that term of being neck deep, or being up the shit creek. We've heard of that term. That means that you're you're in a bad place when you're in poop, right? So, well, I have literally almost drowned in it, and it was in South Korea. I was walking along at night, and I was by myself. We were doing an exercise in the military, in the Army. It's like we had a compass and a map, and one of the competencies is to show that you know how to find points on a map by yourself with a compass and a map, and walking through the woods and things. South Korea at that time had these rice paddies that were lined with feces or night soil, or just, we call it poop or shit. And it was, and you could smell it. We knew it was there, but it was at night and it's slippery. And I slipped into it and I went neck deep in it. And I really did think that I was going to drown in it. The equipment was pulling me down, and I was going under, and I was thinking, I can't die like this. The headlines are going to be pooping Pike dies and the DMZ at the demilitarized zone. And
Yeah.
I never had a family, never had a daughter, never had a wife. Says I'm too young for this. And so what I did I did a small, it's like quicksand material. I just did a small caterpillar type of movement, and I got myself on top, and then I eventually low crawled out very slowly. Now, when I got out of the poop, I was a mob of it. It was a mob. It was soaked through. It was smelling. It was almost like your gag reflex. It was just so what I did was I laid on my back. I looked up at the stars and I said, God, why does this shit happen to me? Why does he put me in these places like this? And because I'm alone at night and I'm a mob. And so what I did at that time, I started rolling around like a dog would do to get the bulk of the material off of me.
Right.
And once I did that, I had another problem. I started thinking, now everybody's going to know this, and I don't want to be known as Poopin' Pike. If people find out, because see, we were as a group, everybody's going out finding their points on a map, doing their same exercise as me. I'm just the only one that happened to fall into it, and
right.
so I said, well, I've got to find a plan now to save my face, to save my embarrassment. Mm-hmm. So what I did, I saw a light out in the darkness, and we're not supposed to shine lights. I don't think we even had. I saw a light, and it was a light of a farmer's house, a Korean family. So I started walking toward that light. At that time, I didn't know if I was walking toward heaven or hell. I was just walking on faith. I said, I just need help. I don't know what I'm going to do at this house. So so I knocked on the door, and I spoke a little bit of broken Korean, 안녕하세요, 안녕하세요, and they came to the door, and they said, ooh, look, you. We did a lot of hand motioning. English language was not really necessary at this point because we were in an emergency situation. She motioned me to get butt naked and give her all the clothes on the front porch. And I did. I handed everything except my weapon and a map and a compass to a strange woman. And she motioned that she was going to clean it up and find me the next morning. And so I walked about a mile or so back through the woods to my camp, naked, barefoot naked. And the plan was she would, and she did. And the next morning I got the camp cleaned up, and she came in and gave me all my clean equipment and like a fairy godmother or something. And so that's the story of almost drowning in poop. And I avoided. Well, I got two things went right that night. One is I got out of it and I lived. And then the second is I saved my face. And only one other person knew about it, but he didn't say anything because he thought my recovery was pretty cool. So he was going to keep it a secret. So, but now everybody knows. Now everybody knows.
I love that. I love that story. I love that story. Jason Pike joining me here on the Brian Snow Show this afternoon, sharing stories of perseverance, laughing at the same time. If y'all go to jasonpike.org, that is where you can get his book, or you can get his book on Amazon. And my friend, I love having you on, and I'd love to have you back on again.
All right. I'm honored to be here. Very proud to be here. Thank you very much, Brian.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Jason Pike joining me here on the program. One more break, and then I'll call a halt to this, and I will wrap it up when y'all get back.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson paid for by the Sentinel Group. This is an important message for anyone diagnosed with cancer after being exposed to Roundup or other weed killers. A California jury recently found Monsanto's weed killer caused a groundkeeper's cancer and issued a verdict for $78 million. More evidence found that Monsanto, the manufacturer of Roundup, may have known that Roundup and other weed killers were likely linked to organ damage and cancer. This information was hidden from the public as proprietary trade secret since 1981, and Monsanto may have failed to adequately warn about the potential risk of cancer. If you or a loved one was diagnosed with cancer after being exposed to Roundup or other weed killers, you may be entitled to significant compensation. Sentinel Group now. You'll pay nothing unless there's a recovery in your favor. Don't fight it alone. 1-800-619-8064. 1-800-619-8064. That's 1-800-619-8064. 1-800-619-8064.
So, this thing called sports, it has fans again. It has full stadiums, full arenas, and more. And you want to be a part of it, don't you? Of course you do. If you begin to scour the resale market, there will be tickets available. And what you need to get those tickets that you want so badly is SeatGeek. SeatGeek is the app available to you that lends a hand in helping you get the tickets that you want for the events that you want. SeatGeek rates the tickets on a 1 to 10 scale, and the best part is the tickets are vetted for authenticity, so you know what you are getting and you know you are not getting scammed. And now you can save even more by using the code SNOWMAN and getting $20 off with your very first purchase. Yes, you can do all of that with the power of SeatGeek, helping you get to the games that you want, so you fans can fan. So let's all fan.
Where sports is the base, life and fun are the results. This is The Brian Snow Show.
Well, we hope that you enjoyed this edition the way that as much as I enjoyed bringing it to you. Going to call a halt to this and bring it to a close. But again, let me thank my guest, Jason Pike, for sharing his stories with us. And thank you to everyone that tuned in this afternoon. You can see a replay of this show in its entirety beginning at 8 p.m. Eastern on the YouTube channel Snowman Multimedia. Thank you for everyone that has cheered us on, has cheered this show on. And thank you to my wonderful executive producer, Mr. Cole Johnson, for putting the peripherals together. I speak of cancer a lot because that is what took both my parents, my mom and my dad. And it was supposed to take me, but it didn't. And I'm not going to let it either. And that is why I am still here. That's why I'm still around. And that's why I'm going to be around for a very, very long time. I've said this so often, and I think it applies here. You can hate me, you can rate me, but you ain't never going to break me. You know who said that to me first? My dad. Thank you, Pop. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Jody. And thank you to everyone that has supported this show, as well as all the adventures of Snowman Multimedia. Let me get the heck out of here before I start crying. I still got some work to do. And don't forget, you can catch this show on WQEE 99.1 FM, the heartbeat of Atlanta, 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time every single day. You can catch it here on YouTube, 2 p.m. live every weekday. Let me get out of here. I love y'all. I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you for tuning into The Brian Snow Show, where sports is the base, life and fun are the results.